deep in the heart of Central Texas, it's the Best of the Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Texas Fish and Game Magazine, the voice of the Texas outdoor nation. I'm your humble host, Dustin Warncke, the outdoor success guy, back with another podcast. It is hunting season, folks, and I am so excited to be here in front of you today and be able to talk about this is stuff that we love about the outdoors, man. Like Chester Moore says on his radio show, if you don't like the outdoors, baby, you're weird. I love this stuff. I love you guys all for your support. Thank you so much for the Facebook messages and all the support you've given me over the years. This podcast has been going on for about 2.5 years, going on 3 years. It'll be 3 years this spring. And we've just been rocking it, dude. I love doing this show, guys. It's cathartic for me. Therapeutic is what I mean. I love doing that. And I brought on a special guest on this podcast, Lou Marullo. He is also known by the stage name of Eric Adams in the 80s metal band Man of War. Love this guy. Lou is our hunting editor as well as our bow hunting specialist at Texas Fish and Game. He writes a column every month of the magazine and has just different, interesting new content every single month. I love him as a columnist. He does a great job getting out there and teaching his art of bow hunting to everybody. So this is going to be more of a hunting podcast all the way around, not just for bow hunters, because we're going to talk about the rut. We're going to talk about some best practices you can do for bringing deer in. And I apologize in advance on this show because we had some connection difficulties in a few parts of the show where you can hardly understand Lou, but I'm going to go through and I've gone through is what I'm trying to say and edit those out and try to make it as clear as possible for you. But you can at least see what he's saying. It just breaks up in a couple of parts, and that's just the way it works with technology. I mean, last time Lou and I were on the phone, he couldn't hear me, and this time I had trouble hearing him. So go figure. But I kind of kept it going, and I think you'll like the show. Just be patient with it this week, and be patient with the technical difficulties that we were having. I didn't want to stop him because we were having a great conversation and restart the call because I think with just technical cell phones are crazy. So that's just the way it goes sometimes. But a couple of housekeeping notes. If you've not done so, please subscribe to the podcast. It is free. You get a new show every 2 weeks. And we will also be doing the newsletter every 3 days, every week. Okay? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Subscribe to that at fishgame.com. There'll be a little section on the sidebar on the right. You can scroll down and subscribe to the newsletter. It is free as well. We have the podcast every Thursday in this newsletter, whether it's a bye week or an actual new podcast. We broadcast those there on the newsletter. Our list is over 60,000 newsletter subscribers, so that's kind of cool. And people can basically tune in and check out the podcast that way. You can also subscribe on your favorite podcast player, such as your iTunes app or your Apple Podcast app, I guess is what they call it now, Stitcher. Spotify has us now. iHeartRadio has us. All those different places you listen to audio stuff, you can check that out. And we're also on YouTube and Facebook, so I post every one of these shows on those pages, and I'm going to start posting the last ones on fishgame.com's page, Texas Fish and Game Magazine's Facebook page. So lots of fun in the outdoors, guys. I've been having a blast. So before we get into our interview with Lou, I just want to talk about how the beginning of season has been. I hung out with my buddy Danny Berry at DB Wild Game Processing and Taxidermy in Bertram, Texas, about 30 minutes away from where I live in Leander here. And Danny and I hung out and brought in a lot of deer for hunting season at his processing place. And they have a nice it was a gas station years and years ago, probably back in the 50s. They've converted it into a little hunting store. It has, all kinds of jewelry and hunting gear and batteries and all kinds of stuff for your feeder. They have all seasons feeders and Lamico feeders and deer stands and all kinds of stuff in there they sell as well. But their main thing is a deer processing and wild game and wild hog and exotic processing, meat processing plant. And let me tell you, man, we saw some brutes. One of the customers at DB Hunting Ranch brought in a 227, I think, inch deer. We have him on the Facebook page at DB Hunting Ranch Facebook page. He killed him off of our property, one of our high fence properties there, and basically that's the ranch I work for, by the way. Also saw 2 elk cows come in on Saturday, and a nice red stag came in on Saturday, and then Sunday I field dressed a red deer cow that came in. best field dressing job I've ever done, guys. I swear. I mean, this is awesome. I did the cavity right, the back end in cavity where you have the anus and all that stuff. I cleared that out right. I didn't get any urine anywhere. I didn't get any guts anywhere. I didn't nick anything. I basically just was a rock star. Cleaned that thing out like a surgeon, and that was the cleanest field dressing job I've done in a controlled environment like that, hanging on a gambrel. And I was kind of proud of myself. And I field dressed a lot of stuff over the years, but I was really, really proud of myself the way that worked. So that was great. Took Jackson with me for part of the time this weekend and opening weekend and for gun season, and he kind of got to see the outdoor lifestyle and how that works. And that's my whole point in this show. What I'm trying to say here is that this whole hunting season thing is not just about going out there and killing stuff. Okay, for me, it's about the lifestyle. It's about hanging out with friends, whether that means socializing, drinking a couple cold ones, whatever the case may be. It all matters, is my point, and that's what I'm going to talk about in the podcast today with Lou. Is the stuff with bow hunters. How a lot of bow hunters a lot of times will alienate other people that are trying to bow hunt with a stick and string of some kind. Such as compound bow hunters not appreciating and calling hunting bow hunting with crossbows. Okay, that's the thing. Traditional bow hunters, or trad shooters as we call them, shooting their original stick and string, self bows or recurves or longbows, and then saying that other people are not. They're using training wheels, or they're using compound bows. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that in the podcast too, and it's one of those things where I just say, hey, we're kind of a small, tight-knit group as it is as hunters. We're all hunters, okay? Can't we all just get along, is my point. And I'm writing about that in the article that I'm writing for the Lone Star Bowhunters Association magazine. It's called It's All Matters. It All Matters. And so that's my whole plan with that, is to try to bring us together as a sport, try to mention the outdoor lifestyle meaning something, and not just about going out in the pursuit of killing or catching stuff. Some of the best times I've spent out in the woods are times that I haven't shot anything, and because every time you pull the trigger or hit the release or release the string, and if it's a successful hunt, you've got not a successful hunt, but if it's a hunt where you end up taking a harvest, taking a kill, you've got a lot of work in front of you, and so Lou basically makes the point that the hunt is over when you go to full draw in bow hunting, or pull the trigger or hit the release, or whatever the case may be in bow hunting or gun hunting. It's a whole nother realm of possibilities when after you release that string or pull that trigger. And that's just the lifestyle is what I'm so about, guys. And I'm about teaching our next generation. My son Jackson, who loves his iPhone, loves to hang out, watch videos and stuff like that all the time, play his games, but trying to get him out more where he is in the outdoor lifestyle. He's in the fishing, he's into hunting. I've kind of got him in some of that, but this generation of kids, I'm just trying to really get them engaged. The plural generation, as they're called, or generation YZ, or I forget what they call it now. But anyway, that's my whole point there, is I'm trying to just be authentic and be real and be relevant to that younger generation, as well as to the up and coming generation of bow hunters and gun hunters, and then to our fellow bow hunting veterans, or whatever you want to call it, experienced old salts that are in bow hunting. I'm really trying to bring home the outdoor lifestyle message to those folks, and also spread out, if you're dealing with anti-hunters, if you're dealing with people that don't believe the way that you believe, it's all about just getting along and spreading the outdoor lifestyle message of how healthy it is to be in the outdoors, how good it is for the environment as far as hunting goes, how good conservation is, and how important that is for duck hunters, for migratory birds like that, for eradication of feral hogs and that kind of stuff. I mean, all that matters. So that's my whole point there. And before we get into this podcast, I want to talk real quick about the bow hunting equipment that I use before we get into this, because we don't really talk about brands and stuff so much in this show. But I'm a big fan. If you're a hunter, bow hunter, and I'm going to be broadcasting this in a couple of Facebook groups that deal with strictly bow hunter people and bow hunter enthusiasts, if you will. Grim Reaper broadheads. They're one of my personal sponsors, and I'm on their pro staff, and I've not lost a deer yet. I've been shooting Grim Reaper for probably 9 years now, I'd say. About the same time I got my son Jackson was born, I got my first crossbow, and then before then I was shooting compound bow, and really, we've been on the pro staff for probably the best, I guess I've been bow hunting for the last 12 years now, and shot my first crossbow in 2009. So, 8 or 9 years basically. And the thing is, I've had a lot of success with the 2-inch whitetail specials from Grim Reaper. They leave a 3-blade broadhead, leaves a great hole. I've had a lot of experience with their broadheads being successful, especially in a lot of the urban areas that I hunt. By that I mean areas that are like in people's backyards, literally. Okay, that back up to a creek or back up to a county road up the hill. In one of the cases, it was both. And basically, I could not afford for those deer to run too far because they'd be on other landowners' land that I didn't have permission to go to. And so basically, I learned how to put them down quick, and Grim Reaper did the job every single time with a crossbow or a compound bow. And the 2-inch whitetail specials or the 1.5-inch crossbow heads, I've used both with a lot of success and have a lot of fun repping for them and the pro staff stuff. Also, gold tip arrows and gold tip bolts. Before I use gold tip, I use Luminaro bolts and arrows, and Luminaro is made by the fine folks at Luminoc. Luminocs are great as far as tracking your shot after the shot goes off. They're pretty waterproof. I've shot them into creeks and streams and stuff before, and they just float on down. I know where to find them at least, and can recover my arrow to see what the blood's like if it's not on water, and what I'm doing. At least find the arrow and recover the arrow and the broadhead if it is in water. But basically, I've had a lot of success with gold tip being the probably most durable arrow and bolt that I've shot. Unless you lose one, I mean they'll last you for a while, and then. The other thing is our friends at Luminoc. They make those press-in lumen arrows, and Luminoc, the whole arrow with the Luminoc included, or they make the Luminocs for your bow or compound arrow or bolt, and basically track your shot. See if it's a good shot on camera. I film all my hunts just about. I haven't been able to this year so much, but I try to film my hunts a lot, and really have had good experience with both of those companies, or all three of those companies, Luminoc, Gold Tip, and Grim Reaper. That's kind of a good. And then for my crossbow, I've been shooting Barnett, but Excalibur's one of the shows. One of the friends of the magazine, because they've advertised with us, and Barnett has in the past too. So both of those I highly recommend. And there are a lot of great things, a lot of great products on the market. The nice thing about today is that you don't have to deal with garbage anymore like you did, unless you're shopping overseas in some cases, okay? But most of the American companies, even if they get it manufactured in China, are really, really good, high-quality things, and the marketplace has weeded out the garbage. And that's a nice thing about where we are right now in hunting season. It's a nice thing about where we are in gun season as well, because ammunition's another thing that's a big hot topic right now, conversation. Who makes the best load for this or this gun or whatever? And my whole point with all this is you need to practice with what you're going to kill with or you're going to hunt with, and you need to shoot to kill. And what I mean by that is in the hunting world, don't take for granted that one brand of ammunition is going to have the same point of impact as another. All right, I teach about this, new hunters about this all the time. Shoot to kill. Make sure that you are hunting with the same brand, load, case, pack, whatever the case may be, of the ammunition before. And if you're not, go to the range and work that out ahead of time. All right, and have plenty of ammunition reserved for your hunt. Don't expect that the one box is going to, because it's a different brand, is going to shoot the same exact point of impact as the other. Same deal with arrows. Okay, a lot of arrows. I've shot lumen arrows. They have a bit different point of impact with them than the gold tip bolts that I bought. All right, for a crossbow, or the arrows that I bought for my compound bow. So anyway, that's just one of the things that I think is vitally important in whatever you do, is just make sure that you practice with what you're going to hunt with what you're going to practice with, and keep things steady. A lot of these broadhead packs, Grim Reaper's one of them, come with practice heads, so you'll really be in good shape there. And there you go. So here's my interview with Lou Marullo, also known as Eric Adams, like I said earlier, from the band Manowar. And love this guy. He's a great bow hunting editor that we have, and hunting editor that we have, and just have a lot of fun with this interview. So here we go with our interview with Lou Marullo. Thanks so much for listening. Joining me on the phone, Mr. Lou Marullo, our rock star bow hunting editor and hunting editor. How you doing today, Lou?
I'm doing great, Justin. Good talking to you.
How's hunting season been with you so far? And I just want to get into some tactics and tips for bow hunting and bow season and stuff, but also just general hunting.
Yeah. Well, so far I'm up in New York right now.
Uh-huh.
So far the weather up here has not been It's not been good for bow hunting because if it's raining almost every day, it's raining. You just can't go out there in the rain. Um, some guys do, but I don't think it's ethical because if you have a hit, how are you going to follow the blood trail?
Right.
You just can't do it in the rain. I'm not hunting in the rain because I hunt to have fun, and it's not fun when
It's not
water
fun
is
in the
dripping down
rain.
the back of my neck. So I don't go.
Especially if you
But
have no cover around your tree stand, for sure, because you're a big tree
yeah, that's
stand
kind
hunter.
of yeah. I mean, I've got one of these the umbrellas that I usually it's part of my gear. I
Sure.
keep with me, and if it gets crappy out, well, then I put the umbrella up and do the best I can. But if it starts raining, nope, that's me. I get out. I'm done.
Well, it's just
So
kind of like when it rains sideways, there's not a whole lot an umbrella can help with, So
no,
it's
I'm
been
out of
raining
there.
sideways
I'm out
here.
of there. We've had some. I think tomorrow they're calling 50-mile-an-hour gusts and everything.
Golly.
Yeah, no, I'm not going out in that. That's
The
not my idea of a good time.
the trees rattle and move your trees. And the one thing I wanted to get into before we get too far into this is you're big about tree stand safety, and every time I have you on the show, I bring that home. Is that how
Yeah,
important it is that you make it mandatory gear to have your tree stand harness for safety?
never go in the woods without it. It's my American Express card of hunting. I never go in the woods without that. That's part of my gear. I just first thing I do. It's the last thing I throw on my over my camo, and that's the first thing I do when I get up in the stand is I hook myself up safely to that tree, and then I bring everything else up with me.
No, that's important.
But yeah, I always make sure it's I'm connected to that tree all the time. So
And is there a brand of tree stand harness that you recommend, Lou?
well, there's a bunch of them out there. I don't want to recommend any brand in
I know.
particular, but yeah, the tree stand safety system, the TSS safety system
Uh-huh.
there, that's what I use.
Okay.
But and I'll tell you if that ever breaks, anything goes wrong with that, I'll get another one the next day.
Right.
I won't be without.
No, that's good. So that's a good one to look at. I'm just not a big tree stand hunter. I mainly hunt ground blinds here in Texas, but I mean, I know you've been a big tree stand hunter for years and years and years, and you teach bow hunting education classes and everything else that you do, and it
Yeah.
just really you're one of our champions here at the magazine, Lou, for sure.
Oh, it's good to know. Thanks. It's
Yeah,
great.
no, Chester and I talk about you all the time and how great of a bow hunter you are, and I just want to talk about today. I submitted my article for Lone Star Bowhunters Association magazine, which
Right.
I'm the editor of, and my article title was "It All Matters," and basically just talking about how if you're a recurve shooter, don't make fun of compound bows having training wheels. If you
Right.
are a compound bow hunter, don't make fun of crossbows not being bow hunting, because it all matters.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It does. Come on. I mean, there's a place for any kind of bow out there. There really is. And I first started out with a recurve. They didn't even invent it didn't invent the compound bow yet. In the
Right.
70s, the compound bow came out, and there was a controversy then.
Yes.
About shooting a compound bow. It's not the same. It's too easy. And
Right.
not so easy. I'm gonna tell you that.
No.
And it's funny because I get the same controversy now with crossbow season. And
Yes.
if people are saying, how can you shoot with a crossbow? That's a rifle. And well, I beg to differ. I really do. I think, what about the senior who has bad shoulders and can't draw the compound bow anymore? Does that mean he's done hunting? You
Yeah.
know,
Does that
if,
draw him
if,
out of shooting stick and string? I don't think it should, for sure.
and no, and if you got a kid with you and it's easier for him to pull the trigger and still shoot an arrow out, what the heck? Why not let him do that and enjoy the season?
Right.
Everyone's just got to get along here. I mean, there's just too much going on in the world today. You have to take the time to waste the time
Right.
arguing about which implement you're going to use to take a deer. It's
Right.
crazy.
It's frivolous
Or turkey.
arguments, or turkey too. That's right. Or our big thing here in Texas is exotics, which is a big thing too. And I've seen a lot of, we recently at the ranch I work with had a longbow hunter that didn't bring anything back up, and I always tell my bow hunters that I sell hunts to, hey, bring it back up just in case. And he had to use the guide's gun to close the deal on a deer after missing it twice with a longbow. And the guy just picked up a longbow shooting and basically said, "Okay, I'm a longbow shooter now." And I'm like, man, that's 15 years of practice right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You never know what's going to happen. I went down, was hunting once in Missouri, and I climbed up in this tree stand. It was dark, and the first thing I did, I hooked myself up to the safety line. And then I pulled up my bow and I hunted for the day, right?
Right.
And when it was time to leave, I hooked the line around my bow to lower it down to the ground, and the line snapped, and my
Ooh.
bow went flying down.
Oh
Okay,
goodness.
smashed down on the ground. Here I am in Missouri. I says, "Oh, this is not a good thing."
Right.
And when I went back to the ranch, the guy looked at me and he said, "Well, you're lucky. I happen to know somebody who works on bows." And the guy came out to the ranch and fixed my bow for me so I could hunt the next morning.
Oh wow.
I would have been really screwed if I didn't have that
Right.
guy there.
No,
Yeah.
that's a good point for sure. And it's one of those things that, just showing up prepared on your hunt. I guided a, youth hunter earlier this year in January on a 6x6 elk trophy elk hunt. And
Oh, cool.
basically, he brought one arrow and one broadhead on that arrow. And I was going to write a Texas Fishing Game blog post about this and basically say, bring more than one arrow on your hunt, because I talked about the boating adventure I went where we blew a $23,000 motor because the guy wouldn't trim the motor up while he's puttering through the shallows. And it's just, so I'm like, man, this is like the year I'm learning all kinds of stuff not to do in the woods and on the water.
You owe that to the animals.
Oh yeah, the ethical, the
Ethical hunter.
ethical part of it for sure. Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
and he needed a second arrow, so he had to go all the way back to the truck and get a second arrow and stock up on him again. And this is a 6x6 elk. This is not, this is a $3,800 hunt here, which is cheap
Yeah.
compared to where you go in Colorado and that kind of stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
it's one of those things where I was just like, man, I mean, he's a young hunter, he's 16 years old, but I mean, God bless him, I mean, so. And he had a quiver. He just didn't have but one arrow. I guess he was trying to do the Jim Shockey thing and basically,
Oh,
tried to do one shot, one kill kind of thing. But unless you're Jim Shockey, I wouldn't tempt that. I wouldn't tempt fate.
yeah.
So, what kind of tips and tactics do you have this time of year? We're in November right now. We're about halfway through November when this podcast
Yeah.
releases. And what kind of things do you look at this time of year for bow hunting or gun hunting or both?
Well, for both, really. This is the rut time. They're starting
Right.
to rut. It's the most exciting time for any hunter to be out there in the field. It's it's a good thing, I found this tip and it worked really well for me. I don't know if the readers of the magazine, readers of my column, they always see me come up with these crazy ideas sometimes, but they work.
Right.
Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. But this time of year, when the does are being chased by the bucks and they don't want anything to do with the bucks early in the rut, hunt near water, near a stream, near a river,
Like a creek or
you
something
know.
like that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I do. I like to hunt near that, and I'll tell you why. Because the does are running away from the bucks.
Right.
They're running all day long, and they either stop for water, but I know they also will run into the water to lose the scent, so the buck can't find this.
Oh, to elude the buck. Okay, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Oh
But
yeah. I mean, during the rut, you still always have to be careful of your scent. I mean, that's the big deal. You got to really watch your human scent. You got to control that. And the only thing that I've ever found to control that is the machine. What's it called? I can't remember the name of the machine now. The
the ozonics.
is thank you. The ozonics. That thing works and it works well. It's the only thing that I found that makes you invisible in the woods.
And basically, what that does is takes the scent of the hunter and runs it through an ozone device and basically puts
Right.
out so it's no. I've read your review on this, and Ozonics has advertised with this before, so I know a little bit about their product.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. I used it just 2 days ago. I was up in my tree stand. The rut's kicking in up here, and I grunted, and I wasn't 30 seconds later. I saw an antlers coming towards me. It was a 6-pointer, and at this stage of my life, I let a 6-pointer walk. I'm not
Wow.
going to shoot it, but it was coming to me, and it stopped, and it was smelling. I was up in here smelling, and it never knew I was there.
It
It
hardly
came
knew
right
he was there.
into
Wow.
me.
Wow.
Came
Wow.
right
Wow.
into me. Yeah, it was a nice wide rack, but it was a young, year and a half, 2-year-old deer. And, not that, and I'm not telling anybody who's listening to this to let it go. Me, this year, I'm looking for I'll go without a deer this year if it needs be. But, heck, if you're your first time out hunting or your 10th year out hunting, If you think that 6-pointer is going to be the one that you want to bring home, he's a trophy for you. Take him,
Right. Right.
take him. You know, I can't stand these television shows that say, "Well, I'm letting him walk. He's only a 4-year-old deer.
Right.
He's gonna look good next year." Forget it. Forget it. That's not the norm. The norm is the year and a half, 2-year-old deer. That's what the norm is.
Yeah.
Take them if you can. It's a personal choice. This year I just told my wife. I said, we might go without a deer. I'll shoot a doe first, but we without a
Right.
buck this year because I'm just going to let them walk. I want a nice one if I can.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you why too. last year, last year when I was out, I took an 8-point buck because I had to go out on. He was a small basket rack 8-pointer. It's pretty good sized deer, but not. I got back home the next day. I told my wife, I said, I still got 2 days to hunt before the tour was flying here.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to try to pull a doe tag. So I went out, and that day when I was out, I had two monster bucks walk into me. I couldn't shoot.
Oh
I couldn't.
boy.
I told Chester about it. I said, Chester, I had this one deer, biggest deer I've seen in the woods. He was less than 30 yards, 25 yards or so away from me. And I
Wow.
couldn't shoot him. I couldn't shoot. I didn't have a tag. I didn't have a tag for him. I had to let him walk. And
Right.
I said, that will not happen this year.
No.
Not this year.
No, you came
So there you
prepared
go.
this year. Yeah, for
This
sure.
year I came prepared. That's right. I just don't care about it. I'm gonna really try to hunt for the big one this year. So
No, it's good. That's really good. So this time of year with the rut going on, I saw some deer on Facebook that somebody videoed here in Texas that basically were already fighting. Already
oh,
rattling in. So do you rattle bones this time of year, or you what do you do?
I do. I get up there and if it's a slow morning, I normally just use a grunt call in the morning.
Uh huh. A
And I
grunt
use a
call.
grunt call when I use a grunt call when I'm walking to the stand too.
Okay,
I use
just to
I
disguise your presence. Is that the
Yeah,
reason?
yeah. I mean, you aren't going to hide your footsteps. It's just the way it goes. And so I try to walk like an animal in the woods. I don't walk with a steady pace.
Right.
I walk with a broken pace. Just 2 steps here, 3 steps there, and I'll grunt every once in a while, just a low grunt, and I'll get to my stand, and basically that's how I'm hunting for the early morning.
Right.
As the morning goes on, if it's pretty slow, yeah, I'll take my rail in antlers this time of year. You've got about a 10-day window, and it really works. The rattling works, and it doesn't work all the time.
Right.
That's why they call it hunting and not shopping. That's
Not grocery shopping. Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
that's right. It doesn't work all the time, but when it does, you won't forget it. You won't
Right.
forget it. A few years back, I was up in the stand, and it was a slow morning. It was a sunny morning, crisp, cold morning, and I rattled the antlers and nothing. I waited a few minutes. I did it again, and all of a sudden I heard footsteps coming quicker and quicker, and I'm looking through the trees, and I could see legs of deer coming right to me, and I'm watching it still, and it came right to my tree stand, right underneath my tree stand, and it was an 8-point buck right underneath my tree stand, looking with his eyes. His eyes were huge, and the hair on his back was up like a dog. He was like, he was ready for action, and I'm
Wow.
staring at him. I'm staring at him with my eyes wide open. My mouth was in my lap. My rattling antlers were still in my hand, and my bow was hanging on the tree next to me. And I said, "What am I going to do now? There's nothing I can do about it." But I'm going to tell you something, Dustin. That was probably one of the best hunts I've ever had. Never came home with an animal, but boy, did I have fun.
Well, your heart has got to be beating out of your chest at that point, right?
Oh, it was great. I love that. I love that. When I lose that feeling, when the heart stops beating quick like that, and I lose that excitement, that adrenaline rush, it's time to give it up.
Yeah.
Time to put the bow up and just walk away from it.
That's one
But
reason a lot of us bow hunt right there. That exact reason right there is just for the
oh,
rush, just for
oh
it's
yeah,
better than any drug on this planet. I mean, it's awesome.
no doubt, no doubt. It's really cool.
So yeah, I just one of the things that you alluded to a minute ago was calling. High grunts, low
Yeah,
grunts. I mean, do you grunt while you rattle? What's your
I do.
strategy there?
Yeah, I get the grunt call in my mouth while I'm rattling,
Okay,
and I try to make it, sound realistic.
sure.
you're better off rattling from the ground,
Uh-huh.
especially if you're hunting with another person. It sounds more realistic if you're on the ground
Sure.
and you're pushing, you're kicking things around, and you're making a lot of racket and grunting at the same time, and let the other guy have the bow,
Right.
and you make a racket, and the deer comes in to look at you, and the other guy might get a shot at it.
Right.
But when you're hunting alone, I still do it up in a tree stand, even though it's not a realistic thing for a deer. You still get their attention. They'll come in the area and they'll look it up and they'll see what's going on. And they might not come in. They may come in, but they're going to be a little curious about it. And so yeah, I do that all the time. I grunt low while I'm doing it, and it's fun. This is a game. Okay, this is a game we play.
Sure. That is a
and
game.
and it's a game. You got to use all the rules of the game and have a good time doing it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's vitally important. And to your point, my dad, says it best, I think, that I've heard it put in hunting terms, is he says kind of like being out in a courtyard, and
Yeah.
basically you hear the word fight, and everybody wants to come and
Yeah.
look, so
Yes, you know what? That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah,
so
that's great.
that's something
That's
I've kind of
great.
held with me when it comes to this time of year with the rut kicking in and everything like that. It's just that everybody's like, "Whoa, I got to go see what's going on." You can attract does and spikes and
Oh
and bigger
yeah.
deer and everything like that. But bow hunting, there's nothing quite like it. And I mean, I'm not going to get too much into the gear that I'll talk before and after this interview, the gear that I
Hmm.
use for bow hunting, but you're more of a
Hmm.
fixed blade fan for deer hunting, and you're more of a mechanical fan for turkey hunting, correct?
That is correct. Totally
I
correct. Yeah.
remember. I take notes when we talk. You know that, Lou? So,
Yeah. Because if you use a fixed blade, the arrow goes right through the bird. And if it goes through the bird flies off, you're never going to find it. It's going to be
right.
food from a coyote.
Yeah, it's going to be
Um,
quite a food. Yeah.
yeah, the energy it takes to open up the blades is enough to slow the arrow down, and it goes about halfway through the bird, and the bird can't take off with that. So
Right.
yeah, you time. Um, I don't like to use mechanical broadheads for deer, and I find a broadhead that I'm happy with, and I stick with it.
Sure.
Um, it's a personal choice. You know what I
Sure it
mean?
is.
I'm not saying that they're bad things. They certainly are good. I just like to use them a fixed blade because if it's mechanical, I'm of the opinion that if something can go wrong, it
It will.
will.
Right.
And if I'm at full draw at a beautiful buck that I want to take or doe that I want to take, and I let the arrow fly, and for some reason it doesn't open, the blades don't open, or something happens, I've done nothing but wound that animal, and I would have rather missed the animal,
Sure.
than wound it. So yeah, I like the fixed blades for deer. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's cool. I was just curious your rundown there when it comes to bow, and for deer scents, do you use anything like one of the companies you and I both tried products for is Vapor Trail Scents?
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
thoughts on they've got Sheila Doe and Heat, they've got a boat buck doe fawn urine and some other stuff or some other scents like that I'm using this year. What is your experience as far as whatever is out there?
Yeah, I try to stay away from scents as much as possible.
Okay.
Now, when it comes into the heavy rut like it is now, that's the only time I'm going to use a scent, and
Okay.
I use the Doe and Heat scent all the time for this time of year.
Sure.
And I try not to use what everyone else is using.
So you kind
If
of stand out
everyone's
from the
using
pack, right? Is that the idea?
exactly, if
Okay.
everyone's using a certain product, every hunter out there is in the field using a certain product. I try to find out what they're using and what's popular in the area, and I'll try to get something else. So I stick out a little different. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And a
I do.
deer's nose is an amazing thing. You've got a human nose, and I've written this before. A human nose has 5 million
Scent receptors, I
yeah,
guess is the right way to say it,
yeah.
right? Okay.
It's 5 million for a human. A dog has 220 million scent receptors. And that's why they use them for when they're locating drugs or locating criminals or whatever. 220 million scent receptors. A deer has 297 million scent receptors.
I've written about that before too. Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
how do you get that close to a deer? It's amazing to get that close to a deer. So, I mean, for me, if you're using cover scents and things like that, I think on a personal level, I think a deer can pick that out. During the rut, maybe not. I don't know, but I think a deer can pick out whether it's real or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
But I still use the scent because, again, it's part of the game. It's a chess piece that I like to use,
Mm-hmm.
And I only use it during the rut time. So
Yeah, only during the rut, and it's kind of like playing chess in a way, because you move your ball down the field, so to speak, in a sports game. But you move your pawns forward first. You use your
yeah,
best strategy. It's a strategy game, right? Is that what you're
it
saying?
is. It really is. I mean, I think it's more important to be out there. It's a little late now in the year, but to be out there early in the season and follow the deer patterns. What are they doing? What are they feeding on? What's the food source at that time?
Right.
And find out what their pattern is. And so for pre-rut time, I like to go out there and I just know the deer's pattern, and I
Right.
try to fool the deer that way. And I just keep my human scent down as much as I possibly can, and see if I can fool the deer. You know, and again, the only time I ever go beyond that is during the rut.
Okay.
And that's when I say, okay, I know the deer's pattern, but the pattern doesn't matter anymore during this time of year.
Right.
Bucks are chasing does everywhere. So
Right.
you got to catch their attention another way. So I may even I may take my grunt call out, and I'll take those um, canisters, the
Yep.
bleed
The bleed
canisters. I'll
canisters.
take
Yeah.
those bleed canisters and I'll turn it like 3 or 4 times. And on the last time I turn it, I'll grunt at the same time.
Uh-huh.
I'll grunt like it's okay. There's two different deer there.
Right.
I'll grunt, and then I'll grunt again, and then I turn my head to one direction, and I'll tending grunt. I'll do a at
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be turning my head every time I call to make it simulate the deer walking towards us a
I
certain way.
see. Okay.
And it really, I'm telling you, that works.
Sure.
It works if there's a buck within that area and he knows, well, there's a doe in doe and heat, it can hear it, and there's a buck following it. I'm gonna go in there and investigate.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, why
It
not? It's another chess piece, right?
it piques that curiosity level in an animal.
Yeah, it sure does. Sure
That
does.
primitive curiosity that at least wants to go see what that sound was and at least investigate further. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Oh, these are
yeah.
great tips.
That's part of hunting. It's part of it all. You know what I mean?
Well, you've been at it
It's
for what, 30 plus years as a bow hunter, or longer
30,
than that?
yeah, 30 plus
Yeah, I'll just say
years.
30
Right.
plus, right?
That's right. 30 plus years.
Okay, we'll just keep it there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's
I've been bow hunting since I was 16.
oh my
I'm
gosh.
in my 60s now, so I've
Do
been
the
bow hunting a
math.
long
Yeah,
time.
do the math on that. Yeah. But the one thing that's made me die hard about appreciating bow hunting is really your column, which before I came to work for the magazine full time, I would read it and be like, this guy really has a good head on his shoulders. I mean, I still do your columns, and I'm just kind
Yeah,
of like,
thanks.
you come up with something original for every issue, and even the non-bow hunting months where we're out shooting 3D archery and everything else, I mean, I'm just like,
Right.
this
Yeah.
guy is something else.
Well, I got a group of friends. We all like to try new things all the
Sure.
time. Some things work, some things don't, but it makes sense. Somebody, we always, if we had a tree stand in one spot and we're trying, and the deer aren't quite using that spot because they're using a different route.
Right.
I've gone before and cleared out a path with clippers and knocked down small trees and stuff. Cleared out a path so you can walk in front of me at 20 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And
Make it easier.
I'll block certain areas for them where they normally would go.
Right.
I'll put brush there and where they normally would run. So they wouldn't walk that way any longer. It's just they're a lazy animal. They'll turn and walk right towards you.
They're
That
gonna
works
look for
really.
they're gonna look for the path of least resistance to walk. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
smart.
Exactly.
That's really
And
smart.
not only that, but when I put my tree stand up, I find a way to get to the tree stand. So the wind is generally in my
In your favor, yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll take it and I'll go there pre-season and I'll find my path to get in there, and I'll bring a rake with me and a shovel, and I'll clear up the ground so I don't put my feet on anything and
Oh,
crunch.
okay.
I'm clearing up the ground a little bit,
Sure. Keep it clear so
to
you
try.
don't just, spook anything. Yeah.
So I'm as quiet as a mouse trying to get to my
That
spot.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah,
That makes
yeah.
sense. And I mean, the more I listen to this stuff and read it and everything else that's out there. I mean, there's, the one thing that you've taught me. I haven't told you this before, Lou, but one of the guys at the Cast Blast Grill Chill podcast, Trevor and Jeremy, they
Yeah.
actually listened to your one episode that we did on underground bow hunting tech tips, and they said that guy has got the most off the wall, amazing things that work. And they like he's got the most interesting stuff I've ever heard, and they talked about us on their podcast, and I was like, thank you guys. I mean, what a good plug, but they were really impressed with your skill, man. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Now, we have a lot of fun trying different things.
sure.
That's just, you never know. One time, I think I wrote about this. One time, yeah, we didn't have a good morning, but my buddy and we said, well, let's just try something. So my buddy takes his antlers that he had, right? The rattling antlers,
Uh-huh.
and he put them up on top of his head, held them on top of his head. Now get this. Okay, now get this. He was dressed in camouflage. Of course, I am too. I bent down like a deer. Okay, I bent down behind him, and we both walk towards the deer.
Uh-huh.
We both walk towards the deer, and he's got the antlers on top of him. And every once in a while, he'd stop and move his head back and forth, like it got within bow range of those deer before they finally realized they're about to have a bad day.
Oh my gosh. It's kind of like stalking an antelope with an antelope picture, or an antelope life-size decal.
Exactly right. I never thought. I mean, we were both talking to each other on the way out there. Oh my God, they're still there. They're not moving. They're looking at us, but they're not moving. And we kept walking closer and closer. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
That is funny. Oh my gosh,
Oh
Lou, that's
man.
hilarious. Just stalking up on a deer looking like a deer, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny.
That is funny, man. That is funny.
Oh,
And
I've tried everything. I've had Halloween uh, dummies that I put up. I make the dummies and
dummies, yeah, and put those in
my
their tree
tree
stand,
stand.
right? Yeah, I remember you talked about that in the last, and that's brilliant because if you get a scarecrow or some kind of life-size
Yeah,
human-looking thing, I mean, the deer look up and go, okay, that's just that guy. I saw him there before,
right.
right?
Just try and do things.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
fun. If you're hunting a thick area and you
Uh
can
huh.
only cover one deer run or one deer path, um, I have the driveway patrols.
Hmm.
They're like signal that beeps when somebody comes in your driveway.
Uh huh.
You know, I had driveway patrol and I just disconnected the noise.
Yes.
It didn't hear the beep, but I would still see the red light, and I put it on a tree,
Yes.
deer height level, and at least I knew. Okay, here comes something.
Right. No, I remember that you broke up a little bit there, but basically what you're saying is a motion detector in a way, and just
Mm-hmm.
snip off the alarm, and use
Right.
that as a because there's one guy I talked to on Facebook a while back now. He runs a couple of deer hunting Facebook groups, and he basically has a whole system around just to do that exactly. But it's even cheaper to go to Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever and buy your own,
Yeah.
and just have
Yeah.
a
Yeah. They cost like $10. You can get, two of the driveway
right.
patrol things.
Yep.
They're great. It's perfect. Works out good.
Wow, that's a
So
brilliant idea to do that. That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's some of the stuff that my guys on the other podcast were like, "Man, never thought of that before." So it was just one of those things we were having fun with. So, um,
Oh yeah.
no, that's really good. So one of the things that you do that I'm really big about you with the youth is you teach bow hunting education classes where you're at, right?
Yeah. I do. Yep. I do. Been teaching for over 25 years now. Yeah, this
Goodness,
class. Yeah.
that's
I
great.
enjoy it. I really do. I enjoy it. It's I not only do I enjoy seeing the amount of people that are picking up the sport,
Sure,
I don't even teach them so much. I mean, I go over it fast. I teach them, okay, make sure you're shooting, keep your arm straight. And
sure,
I go through that when they go through the shooting exercises. But I tell them that, look, you're going to find tricks that work for you. You're going to see the basics of how to shoot an arrow, and you're going to find out what works for you. And
Right.
it's more important that you know the safety aspects of any hunt, because bringing home an animal isn't quite, it doesn't mean it wasn't a great hunt. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
correct. I
I
agree.
tell them, I tell the class that, once you see a deer and the deer's coming your way and you get the full draw on that deer, and the deer has no idea that you're there, and you've practiced now, and the deer is within your known accuracy range, that hunt is over right
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
If you decide to let that arrow fly, well, it's a whole new ball game then,
Right.
you know.
Yep.
But the hunt is over after you get to that spot.
Yep.
So
That's a good way to
yeah,
look at it, Lou. That really is.
yeah. I mean, I tell them it doesn't. People go out there and shoot a camera instead of a bow, and
Right.
they've hunted like that, and that's okay. If that makes them happy, that's fine. They get just as much excitement out of it. You know.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's good. I think it's you don't have to bring an animal home to have a successful hunt.
Yeah. No, I agree with
You
you.
know, a successful hunt is coming home safe.
Yeah.
That's a successful hunt.
No, and just the experience. And the one thing that I've learned from you and other experienced veteran bow hunters, if you will, is that the experience brings wisdom and the wisdom brings experience.
Yeah, that's true. That's
And,
true.
the more that
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say we don't like to call ourselves veterans. We're just grizzled
Right.
veterans. We've been around a lot.
Grizzled hunters. That's good. No, that's funny. But no, that's great. Do you have anything to add? I don't want to keep you on forever, but I really appreciate your time coming on the show, Lou.
No problem at all. I just want to say, get out there and hunt, and when you don't see deer, like my year has been this year so
Hmm.
far,
Right.
still get out there and hunt. You can't get them on your couch, that's
Yeah,
for
that's right.
sure.
That's
And
right. Can't get them from
you
watching
know,
TV.
down in Texas, the beautiful thing about Texas is, deer season comes, deer season goes, but bow hunting is not over. You
No.
can hunt hogs, you can hunt, you can
Exotics,
down there.
turkey, all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do exotics, turkeys, everything like that. And up in my home state of New York, you got deer season, turkey season, you're done. You
Yeah.
know, turkey season, deer season, plane ticket down there.
Right.
Place to
That's
hunt.
it. Yeah, that you're done. Yeah, there's your destination. Well, and the other thing to that we do in the off season here, and I'm part of Hill Country Bow Hunters
Yep,
3D Club, which is a really big deal. And then
yep.
Lone Star Bow Hunters Association does some deer hunting, or does some hunting, and they also do some 3D clubs, 3D archery clubs. But that's a great way to keep sharp in the off season.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it is, and you can have a lot of fun. I used to go to there with a group of guys, and we shoot a certain way. It was like pig, somebody shot a certain way, and if they hit in the kill zone, next guy had to shoot just the same way.
Yes.
We play games with it. We just try to have fun doing it. But you're right, it does sharpen up your shooting,
Yeah.
in the woods atmosphere. So that's good.
It
It's
makes
really
you
good.
bring your A game, and I mean that's the one thing it's helped me do as a bow hunter. And even though I hunt with crossbows a lot and not necessarily
Yep.
all compound bow, it's
Yep.
all bow hunting. It's all stick and string. It's all fun. It's all like my dad hunts with my old crossbow. It's a Barnett C5
Right.
Wildcat, and he says, Dustin, it gives me a chance to experience what you experience being up close and personal as a bow hunter. But I have
Right.
to have shoulder surgery. He has shoulder issues, and
Yeah.
I
Right.
can't
See.
hunt like with the he can't pull back a compound bow to save his soul, even if it's low poundage. And that's why I'm saying this is just the outdoor lifestyles for everybody. I mean,
That's exactly right. Get
yeah,
out there and hunt, have a good time. If you're shooting a slingshot, get
right,
out there and
right.
hunt
Which they
and
make
have
bow
fun.
slingshots now too. So yeah,
Illegally and humanely take a deer if that's
sure,
what you're after.
right,
Then go ahead and have fun and do it,
yeah,
or
absolutely,
not, or go out in the field and just watch them. You know what I
right,
mean? And don't take the shot.
right,
Doesn't matter. Have fun. Get outside. Out on the pavement a little bit and get away from your couch and your TV. It's good
sure.
for you.
No, that's good. Do you want to give any contact info for people to find you? I know we've got some photos for you on and videos for you on fishgame.com. Is there any other way you'd like to connect with our audience, Mr. Rockstar?
Okay.
And no, I was just going to say, fishgame.com, you can subscribe to our digital magazine and read the entire thing on our website through the mobile friendly blog, and you have a column in there every month, which is great. And
Yeah, they can reach me. They can reach me on there.
yeah, you can
My
email the
fish
contact
game.
us email at fishgame.com, and we'll get the
Yeah,
message to Lou. So
yeah,
that's
that's good.
great. But this has just been a fantastic interview as always.
Yeah, man. Listen, I got it. I'll be gone from February this year until February, March, April. I'll be gone from February until May this year. So
Are you
if
on
someone's going
tour
to reach
again,
me,
or what are you
yeah,
doing?
we start in I start in Tel Aviv on
The
February
second farewell
25th.
tour? Is that what this is?
Yeah, this is the second farewell tour.
For Man of War. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
this is our second farewell tour. Yeah. So we start in Tel Aviv, and at one point, at one point on April 16th, I'm about 400 miles south of the North Pole.
Oh, wow.
So they have where it is. They've got it's a law. It's a city law that if you walk the streets, somebody has to be carrying a rifle. That's the law.
It's because of the animals, I guess.
Polar bears,
Polar bears,
because of
yeah, they'll
polar
eat you.
bears. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
that's
bad.
funny.
So
Oh my
I
gosh.
hope I see a polar bear when I'm there.
There you go.
Not
That's
chasing
right.
me, okay?
That's right. That's right. Exactly. So, well, thank
Oh,
you,
that's
Lou.
good.
Again, I really appreciate your time on the podcast.
Hey, no problem at all, Dustin. Anytime, you know that.
And there he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lou Marullo. You can find him at Texas Fishing Game's website, fishgame.com. You can type in his name to find the post that he's tagged in. He is a big proponent in our magazine as far as our digital issue goes, and you can check out the digital issue and get, I believe, there are all kinds of subscription levels you can get at fishgame.com, where we've hosted the entire digital magazine instead of our own app now. We're hosting it all at fishgame.com, so the content and everything like that will look similar to what you get to see in the magazine and the blog, all on the online at the fishgame.com website. So all of it's going to be hosted on that website, just under a paywall, which is not very expensive at all for the digital subscription. You get the print with the digital. You get the digital with the print is what I'm trying to say. So be sure to do that. Also, a little housekeeping. Please make sure you sign up for our newsletters, as I talked about at the beginning of the podcast. They are free, and Tactical and Practical Tuesday, you have Wildlife Wednesday, and you have the Thursday Texas State of the Outdoor Nation. All that stuff is for your knowledge to help you make you a better outdoorsman, I should say. And there's just so much content. I've delivered a lot of different blog posts and videos and articles and stuff that I've delivered to the magazine, both as well as to the blog. And if you just go to my name under the search for the author, you can see all my products there, all my podcast and episodes there, and as well as all of the podcasts you can see on a separate page, and then all of my articles that I've written. So that's all there, and it's all free. It's all for you to consume and enjoy being a better outdoorsman. I learn every episode I do of this podcast. I learn from our guests, so I'm by no means saying I'm all high and mighty as some big outdoors guru. You know, I love media. I love being able to share my passion for the outdoors with you guys, and that just brings it all home for me. And like we were saying in the podcast, man, I mean, reach across the aisle, and I've talked about this ad nauseum on the show, but look, I'm just saying, reach across the aisle and, encourage other people. Don't tear people down, just because they think different than you do, or hunt different than you do, or don't hunt at all and believe in anti-hunting rules and rhetoric and that kind of stuff. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. It's one of the 7 habits of highly successful people. So I think that's something that we need to do as hunters and fishermen, and anybody else that's going out in a world full of PETA and all these other animal rights organizations that basically make a big deal about what we do, as well as other people that are unbiased and have no interest in the sport at all, as well as people that are just trying to get into the sport for the first time. I mean, we need good mentors out there. We need good mentees out there. We need good people that are going to help spread this sport to the next generation. And that's something I'm so passionate about, guys, is that. So thank you guys so much for watching, reading, and listening. Have an awesome day in the outdoors. We'll see you next time.